In my last video, I experimented by making several different kinds of pickles out of the stalks of the Swiss chard, but don't worry, I did not forget about these greens. Today, what I'd love to do is kind of sub them in for one of my favorite spinach recipes, which is Saag Paneer. The first step is take this massive bunch of Swiss chard leaves, the leafy bits, and chop them up. In addition to these chard leaves though, I have some gailan leaves from dinner yesterday. I'm gonna try popping them in here as well and see how it goes. Now what we're gonna do is chop this up. I'm gonna roll this up into a somewhat condensed pile and just run my knife through it. Nothing too fine or anything, but I just want to get these into manageable pieces because I want to blanch them. And what happens, as you know, I'm sure if you've ever cooked spinach, is it will reduce down in size tremendously. While I'm waiting for the water to boil to blanch these greens, I'm going to start the process to make some paneer. The process begins with 4 cups of whole milk, and I'm scalding it now, which means I'm getting it nice and hot, but not to a rolling boil. And I'm going to give it a stir periodically to make sure the bottom doesn't burn. I have some water boiling here now to blanch these greens. I'm going to salt it lightly and just pop these greens right in here. And it's going to take a minute for it to wilt down, but it will eventually, believe it or not, all fit into this relatively small pot. Okay, now the milk is nice and hot and I have just juiced a lemon, and I am going to pop this lemon juice in here, and it should begin to curdle almost immediately. So we'll stir that up. This is, ooh, yeah, it goes right away. As you can see, the milk curdled just about immediately. This is normally like my worst nightmare. There's something really creepy about the way that curdled milk looks. But this is really what you actually do want to see when you're making paneer. So the next step is I'm going to strain this over some cheesecloth. So I realized I'm out of cheesecloth, so I'm going to improvise and use a paper towel. Hopefully this works. Ooh, so curdly. After the paneer has strained for a while, we're going to need to squeeze it. So I've got a dish towel here, again improvising since I don't have cheesecloth, and I'm going to put this right inside and put it all up in this towel and give it a twist to squeeze out the excess whey. Okay, so now I'm going to just sort of shape this into a flat surface, and I'm going to wrap this again very tightly and then put it in between 2 plates and weight it, and then throw it in the fridge for a while to really solidify and form more of a cake, a cheesecake. Not a cheesecake, but a cake of cheese. Okay, believe it or not, that huge pile of greens is now just this. So here is my little paneer that I have made. I'm pretty proud of it. I think it has a nice kind of firm texture. I cut it up and I am frying it up now with a bit of turmeric and cayenne pepper and salt. And I'm going to fry this until we see some browning. It's a little bit hard to tell when it turns brown just because of the coloring of the turmeric, but I'm going to keep a close eye on it. I think it needs another few minutes. And after it gets brown, I'm going to pull it out of the pan and put it to the side. Okay, we're ready for the next step. I'm going to add a bit more oil and add some aromatics to the pan. So we have some onion here, as well as 4 cloves of garlic and about an inch worth of ginger, all chopped up pretty fine. The onions and the aromatics are cooking away. I'm going to add a bit of salt. I haven't done that yet. And I'm going to add a little bit of chili pepper. Now the recipes that I've been looking at call for serrano or something a bit spicier. In the garden right now, all I have are really, really super oddly mild jalapenos. and some aji amarillo. So I'm gonna give this aji amarillo a try and see how it does in this recipe. First I wanna see how spicy it is. I honestly have no idea. Hopefully I'm not gonna blow my face off. Oh, it's lovely. It definitely has a bit of heat, but it also has quite a bit of fruitiness, and it's not unpleasantly hot for me to even just eat this straight up like this. So I think 2 will be fine for this dish, and it won't be overfilled. So I will go ahead and chop those up and add them to the pan. So as I'm cooking this, I'm noticing that there are little bits of brown here. It's starting to burn just a little bit. And to prevent that, I'm just gonna add a little bit of water, probably a couple of tablespoons at a time, just so it can continue to cook without browning. Okay, as you can see, it's darkened beautifully and it's a lovely toasty brown color. So we're gonna go ahead and move on with our next steps. I'm gonna start by adding a little bit more oil, because what we wanna do is toast our spices. We don't want the spices to taste raw, so we need to take a bit of time to fry them up. So I'm gonna start with a bit of cumin. We're going to add some coriander. Bit of cardamom and some garam masala. That looks good. Keep smelling it. I think that's the best way to tell when it's ready to move on to the next step. We want to toast these spices in this oil to make sure that they are bloomed and get aromatic. Make sure to do this, but at the same time, you want to make sure that these spices don't burn. If it looks like it might burn, just add a little bit more water to sort of slow it down and keep going until you really smell that fragrance. It really should bloom in the air, and that will smell nice and toasty and spicy rather than the current smell, which is a bit raw and just smells kind of like the inside of a spice cabinet. This is looking and smelling gorgeous. So we're ready for the next step, which is to pop in our finely chopped greens. We'll give it a little bit of a stir, and then about half a cup or so of water, and we'll let that cook down. Okay, so this has cooked down for about 5 minutes, and we are ready to add some yogurt. And I've thinned this out because I typically buy Greek yogurt that's super, super thick. So I've thinned this out with a bit of milk, and I'm taking this off the heat to prevent curdling. I've seen enough curdling today. I'm gonna pour this in. You can see it's kind of the consistency of a thin yogurt rather than like a typical thick Greek yogurt. And let's see what happens. Hopefully it just continues to maintain that texture. It's looking good. I'm not seeing any curdling, thank goodness. Now that that's stirred in, I'm going to add back the paneer and pop this back on the heat and just let everything come together for a few minutes. Okay, I think we're all set. It seemed a little bit dry, so I added a bit more of the yogurt mixture, and I think now it's looking the right consistency, looking nice and creamy, and it's time for a taste test. I am especially excited to try this homemade paneer. I have some, truth be told, Trader Joe's garlic naan here to try it with. Don't knock it till you try it. Okay, I've made myself a bite. Let's give it a shot. It's creamy and rich from that yogurt sauce, but not heavy feeling like you might get with like a cream spinach. That overwhelming sort of gloopy feeling isn't there. It's beautifully spiced, really well balanced. It's a wonderful dish, truly one of my favorites. And I think my favorite part is the paneer that I actually made myself. So I do think it's worth trying your hand at making homemade paneer if that's an option for you and you feel like experimenting with that. I'm glad that I did it. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't seen my last one, go check it out. We took the stalks of the Swiss chard and made it into some delicious pickles. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.